Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Greenwood City Council meeting on this Monday, June the 1st, 2026 at 7 p.m. Ms. Derry, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. A.C. Brown.
Here.
Ralph Meeker.
Here.
Tim Terry.
Here.
Roger Rainwater.
Here.
Steve Tedford.
Here.
Rod Powell.
Here.
Full quorum.
Thank you very much. If everyone would please rise, we begin our meeting tonight with a prayer from our Chamber Director, Mr. Bob, whatever your name. Purpose. I started to say Bob Callens. That's right. Yeah, and followed by our Pledge of Allegiance by Jeff Turner.
Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this place. We thank you for this town and this country. Thank you for these leaders who give of their time and their talent for us. We ask you to continue to bless our community, continue to bless our town, continue to bless our country, and bless these leaders as they make decisions that affect all of us. Protect us as we go home and guide us in your service. In Christ's name we ask it. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. At this time, I would ask the council to consider approval of the minutes for the May 4th, 2026 regular city council meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Meeker.
Yes.
Mr. Terry.
Yes.
Mr. Rainwater.
Yes.
Mr. Tedford.
Yes.
Mr. Powell.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is recognitions and acknowledgments. We have a few guests here, so welcome everybody. I won't call you by name because I'll probably forget like I did Bob, but thank you for being here. This is the first time in a long time we didn't have a department head meeting this morning because we had a lot of other things. We had a groundbreaking ceremony for All Inclusive Park that Casey will talk about later, which was amazing. And then we met with RDOT on some really cool news, and I'll just tell you now, I guess. We met with RDOT this morning. Several of us did, the police and Stuart and Chief, Jeff. Our bypass, the new part of the bypass will be open this Thursday, day after tomorrow at 11 o'clock. The 5 lanes that are on the new bypass, only 3 of the center lanes will be open. You'll have the turning lane in the middle and an east and westbound lane on either side. The outside lanes are completed, but they will be coned off because the transition from 5-lane to 2-lane or vice versa is still a little rough on each end of the bypass. So, but it will be open. We will have a ceremony. We put a press release out. We'll have a ceremony Thursday morning at 11 o'clock over at the corner of Ash and North Main, where we're literally going to have the ceremony there at the new Main Street connection. So you go behind the courthouse, you'll see it, and you can park behind the courthouse if you want to attend. We'd love for you to have you there. It'll be kind of short and sweet. It is indeed it's not technically, we're going to cut a ribbon for Main Street, but it's not a ribbon cutting for the bypass because the bypass that's phase 1, and there's 2 other phases to go. And so, and that all means the 2 ends getting better. And then now the widening of 10 all the way to 71 is a whole different ball game, which will happen eventually, but that's not part of either of these phases. So we will experience some very interesting traffic flow situations. We already did this morning. Traffic was going through town and it was backed up literally all the way to the other end of town because they were down to 1 lane both ways down here at 96 because of the fresh asphalt. So it's a work in progress, but they have to open that in order to demolish this bridge and the other one down between the new bridges and get rid of the old Highway 10 right here, and then build the new one out to connect. So hopefully that makes sense, but we're excited about just opening it up. But people will have to be rerouted. If you're going to go to the east side of town from now on until they get this road built, which they say could take a year, we hope it doesn't, you'll either go to the Main Street connection, hang a left, get on the bypass and go on out, or if you're coming in from Fort Smith and you're on 10, the rough 10, you just go straight on out and never have to come through town if you do not choose to. And if you're coming the other direction, you just reverse it. Danielle, do you have something?
And we will receive directives from RDOT on all of the transition.
Yeah.
We should get that tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, they'll be very
Put that
specific.
out as well as they will, and then stop signs will be
Yeah.
added.
We basically are just announcing a party, if you will, to get this thing open, but RDOT will provide, as Danielle said, very specific information. The main concern that we stressed to them today, myself, Chief, Jeff, Police Department, is on Coker Street. Forever and a day, and never have you ever before have to stop on Coker to go on out to, say, Daniel McDaniel or the Burgess Farm. But when this bypass opens, there will be stop sign. Before the bypass opens, hopefully tomorrow, you'll have a stop sign on either side of the bypass. So that will, obviously, you can't have everybody going and not stopping. We are concerned about it, but we're gonna make every effort with stop signs there, flashing lights, the big marquee sign. Hopefully we'll get the word across and everybody will understand how to react to that. So, as I will do a video probably, I would say in tonight's meeting too, to ask the public, as they did, we do every year when school opens, to be very, very, very patient and very, very careful, and we will get through this, and it'll all be great at the end of the tunnel, so to say. So I did ask the question because it'll be asked a lot, when are they gonna widen 710 all the way to 71 and get rid of that beat-up road? Technically, there's no funding set aside for that yet, but we know how that works. They can move, I'm not saying they will move money around, but that's not gonna take forever to do that. They're already moving utilities. James Fork is moving a water line out there. There's a bunch of utilities marked, so that's in the process. And as far as I know, every easement and right-of-way has been purchased and gained from RDOT, starting with us at the senior center, all the way back into town. So it's in process. It's just not, they're not ready to say when they're gonna widen and lay asphalt. Okay, so just want to get everybody caught up on that.
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
I have to backtrack on the minutes and just point out for the
Yeah,
record
yep.
that on page 3 of those minutes, I
Okay.
had an amendment. Y'all might have seen it, but Steve had called me today and checked on the vote on that salary matrix last time, and I did have it in the original minutes as unanimous, but it was just by majority with
Okay.
Councilmember Tedford voting
Got
no.
it
So I
correct.
just wanted to state that for the record and anybody else that's interested.
Okay, very good. Started off with saying we didn't have a department, or I guess I did. We didn't have a department meeting this morning due to those events happening, so I didn't get to ask anybody if there was any recognitions that we acknowledged. Mr. Terry, Councilman Terry, do you know of any sports activities that, I know the Thunder lost, not that that's a big deal to anybody but me, but
Razorback stink.
Razorbacks didn't fare well. The girls did pretty good until that last game, but as far as here, I don't know about anything. But I would say, on the sake of of Casey's and his department, I know the summer camp started today at Bell Park. I didn't get to go up there. I meant to, but there's a lot of stuff going on. I'll try to make it up tomorrow to try to play a little basketball or something with them. But that's success, was a huge success last year, and we expect it to be the same way this year, so. How many? 58? That's awesome. Very cool. Can I mention the inclusive part? I want you to also, but the inclusive part, ribbon cutting or groundbreaking was this morning at 10:30. And it was quite incredible. This is the property that years and years ago, now I forgot his name again, Stuart.
Elmer Shears.
No, Paul Walker donated that property to the city for a fire station spot. It was decided among whoever at the time that was not the place they wanted to do that, and we have another one built since then. But that property has been in the city's possession for years and years. I was the parks director many years ago, and my narrow thinking at the time was try to make a dog park there, and I'm so thankful that we didn't have a dog park there. And today they broke ground on a all-inclusive park. It's going to be amazing. And Casey and his crew and his staff and the ladies, the committee, have worked their tails off raising money, getting one of the largest grants that we have ever received for anything to build this thing, and it's over $1 million project. So it's going to be quite incredible for everybody to play. So side by side, no matter what your disability or your ability. So I'm pretty excited about that.
It was a very well done groundbreaking ceremony.
Yeah, you guys did.
Kudos.
Absolutely. We had,
team.
Miss Arkansas was there to lend some comments about it. A lot of the sponsors were there, I think, and so it was really, really good. Mr. Tedford made it. Appreciate you being there. It was the most entertaining and fun groundbreaking ever because the kids got to shovel the sand.
I've never seen that in a groundbreaking.
Yeah, so that was Casey's idea, and these kids, my grandson was one of them, and they threw the sand straight up in the air.
On their hair.
On their heads, and luckily they had hard hats on, and some of them were throwing it behind them. It was just incredible, and then the adults got to do the same thing, and we managed to not get in anybody's hair, but that was incredible to watch that, and those kids. You had a lot more kids there than you had shovels, but it was really awesome. So thank you for that. All right, we'll move on. Committee reports is you have those in your packet, gentlemen. Those that were presented to us, as always, I've said, if you have questions, you don't see something, let me know. Better yet, let Danielle know, and we'll find an answer to your question if you have any and/or comments.
The ones we did not get this time were the Boys and Girls Club and the water wastewater.
Okay. So we'll
Street.
we'll try to get them all for you next time. I know everybody's busy, but Kenny Sunday is extremely busy out there with all the programs at the club. So we'll try to do a better job getting those reports to you. Next thing is the citizen forum. I have one gentleman that has signed up tonight, and Mr. Newcomb, if you'd come up, you know the way it works. Give us your name, address, and you have, sir, 5 minutes.
35 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
We'll be home by then. All right.
You're already a minute into it.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
He's got to answer a text.
Now say that.
I'm new to that, putting notes on the phone, so here goes. We lost all of our water in our pool a few months ago. It drained itself dry. So we had to fill it up again. It takes 13,500 gallons of water. I got a hold of the city and said, hey, I had to fill my pool up again. I need to adjust the sewer rate on it. And they said, oh, we only do that once a year. And I already did it when I filled it up. And that didn't sound right to me, so I started looking. I got some information that this is pool fill adjustments from the Water Commission. Customers will be allowed one pool fill adjustment per year. That's illegal. Pool fill adjustments will apply only to wastewater portion of the bill. Adjustments are intended for new pools, construction, and/or pool repair. That's not legal. Customers shall submit pool dimensions and dates of the fill, the amount of water, so they can determine how much was used. I got more to look at, if you don't mind. Let me go through this and then we'll talk about it, okay? Actually, I found out the commission, the Water Commission's the one that did this. I was saying, okay, when did the council do that? And the fine city clerk told me it was a commission, okay? So I looked into it. And they're the ones that decided that they weren't going to refund sewer rates or sewer money where I didn't use them. They said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to let you do it once a year. Well, that's ridiculous. You know, I didn't agree with that, so I looked up some more things. Let me read this to you. If the city council member intentionally charges citizens for services they did not use, they face several legal and political consequences. The official can be prosecuted for fraud, abuse, or official capacity, theft, or other misconduct, or they could be removed from office depending on the findings. And there's some that go even further than that. If you want me to read them, I will. Rod, you know when it comes to due diligence, I dig pretty deep. I got quite a bit. But the point is, I did not use that sewer rate, our sewer. We got a commission, an unelected bureaucratic body that determines all of our water rates. You know, I've asked you guys, what in the world happened to the water rates? And everybody says, we didn't raise them. No, I did a little bit more digging. The commission raised them. You guys got in the clear. You didn't raise the water rates. But there's people that have left their hoses on all night long. The water bills are astronomical. They're not getting a break on their sewer that you're charging them. And Rod, AC, I'm really disappointed in you. You guys are certified council members. I went back and I pulled the curriculum for certified council members. It's 24 hours. Am I right, Rod? 24 hours? Okay. And one of them is fiduciary responsibilities to the taxpayer. You guys should have caught it, and I'm disappointed in that. Bottom line is, I want my money back, or I'm going to the Attorney General, I guess it is. You guys can't do this to me.
Thank you, Mr. Newcomb. Council, did you have any comments or?
Well, my only thought was, he's talking about the commission setting that. I thought that was an ordinance. I'm sure Charlotte tried to look for it, but I thought we'd passed the ordinance a long time ago. It seemed like even before I got on this board that you can only be refunded one time. That was way before the commission was ever even thought of.
We repealed all those ordinances, remember, and put them into water policies, so now they're a water policy under the authority of the commission. But we did, I want to correct, we did raise rates. This council adopted an ordinance that raised rates. They did, so.
Jim, is your next stop the Water Commission? Okay. Is your next stop probably so? Are you going to the Water Commission and saying the
No,
same
I
thing?
come to my councilman. I didn't go to commission. I
Okay.
didn't vote on them.
Okay.
I'm not gonna mess with them. You guys heard of purse strings. I was up there 8 years. I know what's required. And you guys could take care of it. You know, I'm sorry, Rod. I told you what was gonna happen someday when you had a commission. I told you somebody was gonna screw up and you guys were gonna get burned. Well, I'm not trying to burn you. I just want my water back. You know, my pool drained 10 times in a year and I had to fill it up. I gotta pay for the water. Because that's the only place I got to throw my stinking grandkids. I got to babysit in the summer. Throw them out there in the pool. But I don't want to pay that sewer rate when I didn't use it. That's all there is to it.
So Jim, what is the, what is the issue with the pool that's causing the,
You say you want to come swim in my pool.
anytime, especially today? No, is there something wrong with the pool that's causing it to empty so many times?
No. No, nothing wrong with the pool, except I had the drain hose, the siphon hose in there,
Okay,
and my grandson decided to suck on it to see if it worked. I went out there the next day and I had no water in the pool.
He really.
And he couldn't stay on for 2 days, but other than that, everything was fine.
well, you just have to get it started.
It was an accident, and, you know, irrelevant of an accident, if I fill it up and you charge me for sewer rates, when the law says you can't do it, then I want my money back. I don't know how many people it's affected besides me in the city. There's got to be more. But come on, guys, change that. Talk to your commission. You know, they can't be writing stuff that's not following the law. You guys are the council, you guys fix it.
Don't forget your drink.
That was up there.
Jim?
It was already up there.
Oh, I thought that was yours. I'm sorry.
I don't know why it's up there. Really.
Travis,
Jeff, would you get that?
this is
Would you set that?
probably a matter of policy,
Sorry.
more than some sort of law breakage.
Yeah, I would ask the clerk to put it on the codification committee agenda
I
for
will.
next meeting.
Sure will.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. We met, I should say they met, because I was in and out, didn't do a very good job of staying in there today, but that codification meeting has
We'll look at it.
been very beneficial.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, yes, sir.
I had no issue with the water. I used it, I lost it, I filled it up. I had no issue with the water.
Yeah. Did you ask your grandson to pay for it?
You're,
I just didn't do that much pooping.
you're, you don't have issue with paying for the water, it's just the sewer.
No, I use the water,
Okay,
no problem.
Sewer's calculated based on
I
water use.
mean,
okay,
you gave me a service, I paid for that service, we're okay with it.
okay.
You did say, Jim, Mr. Newcomb, that you asked the water office to adjust, and your answer was, did I hear you right?
My answer, when I asked the water department to adjust it, and they're just doing what they were
Sure,
told, I'm not
absolutely.
mad at them or nothing.
Sure.
But they said we were only allowed to do that once a year.
once per year.
Well, I had already filled it up
Okay.
when, Bubby went by and he decided to suck on the hose to see if he could get water coming out of it.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Anything, council? Mr. Attorney? Thank you, sir. Okay, no one else has signed up, so we'll move on to our financial report. Mr. Tom Marsh. Do what?
We do have two,
Yeah.
but is it a channel issue?
It's an issue with them putting it in the system.
Ah.
Caused all sorts of problems apparently last time.
Oh,
Okay. All right, so for the financial report, the first thing I want to go to is the city sales and use tax comparative. You do have your actual report, so most of this is not going to be a surprise. Greenwood's 2% city sales and use tax was up 7.69% for the May distribution of 26/25. Everybody seemed to have also a very favorable sales taxes for the distribution of May, which would be March's actual collections. When you look at the two that were down, it was Huntington and Midland, but both of those stand alone, and there's, any small amount is a large percentage, so we discount that. For the year, the distributions for all cities within this geographical period of the county of Sebastian, you do see it's an increase of over $200,000 or just under 200,000. When you look at the, what that would be an indicator of, I'll get to that with the rebates and the audits about how that affects us versus anybody else. When you look at the city sales and use tax revenues, we did do a 0% growth for the year so far cumulative for the 5-month period. It's 7.49%. So roughly about what we had ingoing for the month of May. County sales tax, we budgeted also 0%. The same month change of 26/25 was up 1.13% for the month, and it's still very favorable for the year. Cumulative growth for county is up 3.34%. When you look at the advertising and promotion, the A&P tax budget growth, we had 0% for that. That was set by the actual A&P commission. The same month change, 26/25 for the month of May, was 11.4% as of May 28th. And that's because whenever you have meetings on the first Monday, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to close the books before I have to report to you on the Friday before the meeting. So that's why these numbers are skewed a little bit to the fact that there's a couple of days that we don't have the revenues or expenditures in there, especially when we have a check cut at the last of the month. Just so you know, if these meetings were on the second Monday of the month, you would have a full close. That's just a little editorial. The cumulative growth, 26/25 for the A&P Commission is up 6.86%. It's rebounded nicely. We did send out new procedures and new letters to all the A&P remitters so that they're understanding that we are now starting to enforce and adhere to the penalties and/or discounts for them if they pay early and/or if they pay late. So we do have that now as assigned to my assistant. As far as the rebate, well, I'll get to the cumulative. This is what you basically are seeing. You saw 2025 was a really down period, down 8.39% as of this same period last year. So we flipped the script, as I mentioned last time. We're pretty much almost that positive now. We went from 7.43, our cumulative is now 7.49. It's very good, still holding its own. Well, that's an indicator of the fact that the rebates weren't as high as we thought they would be. So I'm going to get to that in a second. These are a little bit out of order. As far as the budget is concerned, I wanted to give you what that means as far as the revenue, the additional revenue that we did not budget for. So the 2% generated 2026 so far, 1.7 million in distribution. Last 2025, same period, it was 1.6 million. So we're up $122,000 in the actual distribution to the city. And that breaks out between 0.25% to the traffic relief bond and 0.75% to parks, street, fire. And then the 1% goes to the water sewer. So there's where your 2% comes from, the 1 3/4 for the distribution of these 4 entities or departments, and then 1/4 goes to the distribution for directly to the bond management company. So the 1 3/4% equates to $106,888. 61,000 was gained by the water sewer department so far because of the growth that we have in the city sales and use tax for the 5 months. And all the rest of the departments, Park, Street, and Fire, have gained $15,000. That's what it means when you saw the growth of 7%, a little over 7%. So that puts it into numbers for you. As far as the rebate is concerned, we're kind of in line with what we would normally see in the month of May. There wasn't any large, anything over $10,000 I usually highlight. I expect June, July, and August to be about that. There will be some movement probably by the end of the year through the fact that, or as a result of the fact that RDOT is doing some more now major construction work that's going to start on the new bridge. So not knowing where they stand on their purchases, if they're holding any of those steel beams and in inventory, I doubt very seriously they probably buy it as they need it. So if they do, we'll be seeing some larger rebates down in this last quarter of the year. But I don't think it'll come anywhere close to the 7.8% that we had for the 5-month comparing 2025 to 2024. I would believe that we're still going to be in the positive territory. I just don't know to what percent, and that has a lot to do with this rebate. As far as the what it graphically looks like, so long as we stay in and around this 20,000 mark through the next remaining periods of the year, we should be in fairly favorable position for a growth. This was the wacko month that we ended up causing us to research through the efforts with Bob Purvis assisting to really hone in on what that was caused, why our fluctuations were so radical. As far as the audit is concerned, we did have a $788 holdback of distribution in the audit side, but you're still looking at that being very immaterial as far as the overall picture is concerned. That's just a normal course of what happens. I think the biggest gain that we had was January, when our audit numbers for the end of the year was only 2,300 versus a holdback of 9,003. As far as the what it means for the city of Greenwood from the city sales and use tax perspective, if we put back the amounts for the audit and the rebates, just focusing down on the distribution down at the bottom for taxable sales, that 7.49%, when you factor back the distributions from 2025 and 2026 for audit rebate, is really, it equates to about a 2.83% increase. You got to realize that that was actual collections that occurred. This is just then redistributed to the vendors rather than to the city. So it is still part of what is considered to be your cumulative taxable sales. So when you look at the actual sales numbers within the city of Greenwood and or coming into the city of Greenwood as a point of sale, you're looking at $88 million in 2025 and $90 million in 2026, which is what generated the distributions and the audit rebate adjustments. Well, that's 2.83%. Well, 2.83% is at or just slightly above the amount for currently the inflation, the rate of inflation. So it's not necessarily new spending and more spending, it's more cost to what they're purchasing. To give you what that looks like, I went ahead and got the inflation rate as it is now listed by Department of Labor and Statistics, all item inflation rate is 3.8%. So if we had a 3 or 3.5%, I'd feel really good about consumer confidence and that there's not a slowing in the economy. And most of what we're seeing as gains is coming from the increased price. The core inflation, though, for all items less food and energy, they call that the core because food and energy's numbers are highly volatile. They change radically from week to week and or month to month. So the inflation all item numbers adjusted, removing those from consideration because this reflects this more stable side of what the inflation is. That's what it basically is telling you, giving you a clearer picture is what they call it. So if you're looking at the 3.8%, because most people are food and gas and food and their fuel in their cars, does drive their disposable and discretionary income and discretionary spend. So I would like to say I would lean more to this 3.8 for the city of Greenwood rather than the 2.8% and say our numbers are still indicative of the fact that there is a slower spend of discretionary monies, more going towards the food and energy side than it is to discretionary spend or increased spending on the consumer side. So as far as the county is concerned, you see the 3.34%, which was for the cumulative period through May. And then when you look at the county sales tax impact, same thing I do for the city side, I'm doing for the county side. The 1.1 million versus 1.78 million from 2025 is a $36,000 of increased money to be distributed by you through your distribution percentages by the departments listed below. Shows you the impact to each of those departments. Police, for instance, gained 18,000 in income that they can use or potentially can use. Hopefully the rest of the year still stays at that percentage. Fire is at 10,000, Parks is at 3,500. There's your 36,000. And what that meant, that growth, 3.34% means to those departments as far as their operations is concerned. And as far as the combined sales tax, we pretty much did flip the script from a negative 5.34 rather, to a positive 5.7% is where we are. It does not include the traffic relief bond in this because the combined sales tax and the county distribution and the city distributions are coming to us. That traffic relief bond is going directly to the bond. So that's why I don't include that in what it means to the city. Now, the good news is on the traffic relief bond is whatever growth we have goes into the coffers and is used to do additional paid-in capital, and it does take off the amount of interest that we're paying and shortens the maturity period for that bond. So that's how we design that bond to work. So there's a significant savings, and I can report on that at the next time we meet, as to what this growth means to the traffic bond and how soon it'll be paid off.
And Tom, when is that scheduled to be paid off?
Well, it's a 40-year bond, so 2060, I think, somewhere in 2060. But it'll most likely, at the current growth we have, which right now is 6.4%, 6.47% growth in our city sales and use tax cumulative since the bond was enacted. The bond is based on no growth at all. Whatever our city sales and use tax was, they just rolled it for the next 40 years and said it's not gonna change up or down. And anything positive, any change that we have positive, allows for us to pay in additional paid-in capital if you're looking at it from a mortgage perspective. And that then pays down from the back end up. So we're looking at maybe 2038, 2039 is when this bond would be paid off. Just about the time that the previous bond that we had for the police station would have been paid off. So it was a good deal. One thing too that you didn't mention is that as far as the money's not available for for 10, none of that is city money. We're done. All that's on RDOT, and that's the money RDOT's waiting for appropriation on. They're not waiting on anything from City of Greenwood at all.
That was all part of our agreement, that,
Correct.
to include 10.
Right.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned a third phase. I don't recall that being in the agreement.
They have many more phases than what we talk about phases. Phase one is what, and they don't even call it a phase. I believe the news release is gonna call it stage one. There's many, I used to call them up and say, okay, what about phase two? And they're like, Mayor, you need to be more specific. Because phase one was the first bridge, phase two was another bridge, but stages are different too. So they have a whole different lingo. So, as Tom just pointed out very clearly, we, as you all know, passed a bond years ago now for our $5 million input for this project. And I say it every time I speak on this project, whether it's in front of RDOT or not, I always use the word locked in. We locked in at $5 million and we got a great deal. I mean, some may not agree that it's the best thing that we have ever done, but $5 million for a $68 million project is a pretty good deal.
We also did better than that because we structured that bond such that we paid off the amount that was owed and callable on the bond for the police station, giving us immediate equity in that building. So that was rolled into that bond. So this is your advertising and promotion. The month for May was 11.4% up as of May 28th. That's 6.86% so far for the year, which is very favorable. I will show you that May totals it was up positive. It was still below what our highest was back in 2024, but 17,813. And these are all month of Mays for each of those years from 2018 to 2026 graphed. And then the next one you see is the average monthly tax collection. It's still below. It's still on a lower than what the previous 2 years were. So it is having an impact to the trajectory of what we call the trend line. But I do want to point out that if that stays and that holds, because that's the average so far, the average monthly collection for the first 5 months, if that holds for the rest of the year, we're going to be down 2.29% from even the previous year. So this does not have a major impact on Brahms or anything that's maybe in the works for the remainder of the year. And our efforts to ensure timely collections of the money is also going to help with the distribution of grants from the A&P Commission. As far as cash flow is concerned, we started the year at $12,000,001. We're decreased the month of May, $72,995. Our net decrease in cash is $798,000, and we're all in funds for the city was $11,398,000, or down 6.55%. Realize that that is through the first 5 months, and we budgeted for the whole year to be down 60%. So most of that, as I always say, is involving the water sewer department's major capital spend. So as far as the capital spend is concerned, nice segue. The year-to-date amount that we've spent is $2,096,000. Of that, $1.8 million was water sewer, and $222,000 was all other departments, street and general. And then when you look at the percentage of the capital budget expended, it's 9.08% for the everything but water sewer, 21% from water sewer, or it rounds to about 18.47% of what we budgeted to spend has been spent. Projects are still currently in the works, and there's still money being expended every month. And contingency fund reserve, right now, as of May 28th, don't get your hopes up on that 38% right now, because that does exceed the greater than 25%. But the reason for that is because we're doing check runs, and the check runs are still going on. We finished those today, but those numbers are not in the amount that would come out of the general fund. That's a short period. So that $1,032,000, it still would have been positive, but it probably wouldn't have been that high. And again, I did note here that the financial cutoff was 5/28. Not all end-of-month expenditures have been recorded, so that's still in the works. But it is still, that's very favorable. You realize last month it was 1%, so that does fluctuate. I try to keep it positive. And that's it for the financial report.
Questions or comments from council? I'd like to say, I don't say it enough, Tom, we appreciate what you do. I have said that quite often, but I want to reemphasize, we appreciate what you do and the confidence that I think we all have. I know we all have of you keeping us on track. Nothing happens at City Hall without Tom knowing about it as far as expenditures. You report to us every single month about where money is going and where income is and where we are in debt. So we appreciate the fact that you keep us updated on where we stand as a city. Very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Next on the agenda are agenda additions. And due to the fact that we did not have a department head meeting this morning, we did not add anything. Does the council wish to add anything? Yes, sir.
Well, y'all won't believe I want to add another discussion, but I am, or I want to.
Okay.
I want to add the discussion on the council's willingness to paid per shift for the fire department. Make it item 11,
Pay for shift work.
paid per shift work.
I need to withdraw number 10 on behalf of the parks.
Do what?
We need to withdraw number 10.
Casey requested, correct, Casey? Yes. To withdraw number 10. With council approve of that, we'll just name yours number 10, Mr. Powell. Everybody okay with that? Mm-hmm.
What
Okay.
happened to it?
I'll let Casey address that. If you want.
It's just,
While we're removing 10,
Yeah,
is it just too soon? We're not,
says Trails Grant. We ought to be all over a Trails Grant.
So we have a partner, we have an opportunity to partner with the FCRA and also the county to connect
Yeah.
Chaffee with the county and us. I think it's going to be more suitable for us to work that into our 2027 budget.
Okay. Was this us working on our own, or were we working with that group?
Those meetings have been started again, yes.
Okay. Okay.
All set?
I got excited about the grant. And then
We're working on it.
Then you removed it.
We're working on it.
Okay.
Maybe bigger and better.
Maybe.
thanks, Casey. Everybody okay with switching those or
Sure.
removing one? Okay.
More I'd like to take off.
No. Is that a motion? Okay. Okay, old unfinished business, there is none. New business is number 1, Mr. Powell, discussion on Main Street parking lot.
Okay. The Masons had brought up something the other day, and I just didn't have a really good answer. We discussed when we leased the property to the Masonic Lodge for them to build their building, that our intent always was that would be a public parking lot, including back over there on Adair Street. That is Adair. Atlanta. You live on it. It'd be the corner of Adair and Atlanta.
No, it's just back, it's back a little bit off the corner.
Okay, Atlanta,
Where the two little green dots are on that map, the top dot.
okay. Across from the old Owens and Oliver building. So, or Old City Hall. That might be the best one.
Maybe the old fire station.
Old City Hall is privately owned.
Yeah,
The old fire station property
is ours.
The old fire station. So we talked about doing all that together. So I didn't remember it in prioritized in the budget. Is it in the budget? Is it on our list? Where are we at on it? And I don't know who I ought to be talking to. Jeff, I assume.
It's not in our budget. It can be, we can add that in.
I think,
What?
if I may,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's not in the budget technically, it is not in the budget technically or not, but the idea was that we would, as you said, we talked about it, we all, I think, agreed that would be our parking lot, it's a public parking lot. We want it available for merchants downtown. But I think the idea, if I remember early on this year, was not to put it in there because we didn't think the lodge would be ready. We didn't want to get it done too quick
Right.
and not have the lodge there and in danger of that construction messing up a parking lot.
Might be better off as well waiting to let
Yeah,
that settle.
because you,
So
So we don't have to bring in as much.
Right.
business.
So the problem waiting may be that towards the end, they may not can get a certificate of occupancy because things aren't complete because of us. If Hunter's doing his job, he may not issue one.
And believe me, he is. He would keep the city from getting one as much as he would anybody else, I can
Yeah.
promise you. But I don't, Hunter, you may be able to address that as far as time framing and,
The Masonic Lodge has been on hold for a little while, with my understanding. They've made some recent progress, but I don't know much more than that at the moment.
Okay, so things take time to plan. And I agree with the mayor. I think at the time, we didn't know the lodge was in limbo. We didn't know really when it would start, what would happen, so we probably didn't say, hey, we need to get on to planning. And so so we understand the concept that public parking, so where are we at in the planning of it?
I think we had some preliminary numbers, and I don't remember what they were off the top of my head, but I can do a little more, prices have changed too since that, so I can do some more calculating and try to figure out a today price.
So I guess my question to the council, are y'all willing to say, hey, let's prioritize this and get moving with it? Because they're gonna have a building out there with,
Well, at one
Next to
time
the
Jeff
metal.
had a proposal of like the square, kind of a theme of how it was gonna do, and I was looking, if there was any way we could kind of implement that kind of toward that parking lot.
you talking
Part of
about
that
the,
was
you talking about
the grant.
the green space you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, part of that, and that's what I wanted from an issue, and so did most people that we talked to, next to the existing building, leaving some green space, sitting area, fountain, whatever, you go to these towns and you see that a lot downtown, whether it's Old Van Buren or somewhere else, but, so the idea of that was part of the, grant for the square, we were gonna include that, and we backed off of that grant because that looked very expensive, so it's still a thought. I would say too, that we can play, I say this, I'm not the guys doing it, we can play catch up real quick when it comes to a parking lot, in my opinion. I don't think it's gonna be brain surgery, but I would still love to incorporate something next to that rock wall, because it just kind of, without making sure that we've got parking, ample space for the lodge, for the scouts, and yes, sir, buddy. Oh, there you are. I didn't realize you were in the audience. Yeah, yes, sir, you can.
I need to give my name.
No, you're fine. Well, yes, actually you do, technically.
Buddy Lloyd, 305 Twisted Oak Way,
Thank you.
East Village. The drawing that was presented, whenever we started it, because we were told we had to design a parking lot before we could get a building permit. So we had to design, and there is a green space against the old rock building.
Right.
And then there's a drive,
Go back.
coming back out.
Yep.
The lodge, and Hunter's right, the lodge has been on a low gear. And I would like to encourage the city council to, maybe if we know, somebody knows a state representative or somebody, because everything that we were told in the meeting across this building has gone away. And it has put a financial burden on us. Things that we were told that we would be reimbursed for, now we're being told, oh, if you're in Tennessee or in Texas, that would apply.
Let me clarify for you, if you don't mind, not from us.
No, not from y'all.
Okay.
That's from the state.
Just making
Now, if we
sure.
were in Texas or Tennessee, we might still be playing in the World Series, but we're not. All of the things, they told us we had two buckets to draw from. One had a $50,000 cap, one was unlimited. So when we started requesting things to be repaid to us that we had to pay for out of our money, no, that applies if you're in Tennessee. That applies if you're in Texas. So actually, the only thing that we have received from the state today is $800 and a promise. And my faith in them is zero, because we've been trying to get them to help us.
And again, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is beyond the purchase of the building. Is that correct? What they reimbursed you on the old building.
Yes.
You're talking, okay, Mr. Martin.
Yes, before we could get a permit, we
Right.
had to do a design.
Sure.
We had to pay for that design.
Right.
And by city ordinance, and we told the state representatives, this is a city ordinance. We had to do this to get the building started. No, we can't do that. Everything we've turned in, we can't do. So yes, we have been going slow. We got a bunch of men up there painting a building that doesn't need to be in there painting a building because we're trying to save money. So, yes, we have been asking Rod, hey, what about the parking lot? Where are we on the parking lot? Because we don't have the money to do it. We're doing physical labor to try to make up. We're hoping that some of the things they've told us is gonna come through, but nothing has yet. So, you know, we're getting, the painting's being done, we're getting ready to start laying brick probably next week. So hopefully in the very near future, we're gonna be going to Hunter and saying, hey, we want a final inspection. And Hunter's gonna say, I can't give you a final inspection because there's no parking lot. So I just wanna let you know, we hadn't been dragging our feet. We've been going slow, trying to spread out what money we've got.
So
But
what
I
are the-
appreciate y'all taking the time to think about this.
What are the requirements of the parking lot?
Stripes.
Do we have any? Because from what I understand, that you're not talking about hard surfacing necessarily right now.
No, it has to be.
It has
We
to
are-
be.
yeah, we are
That's
talking.
what they were, that's what somebody
I
mentioned.
think
the other
everything's
day.
designed, or I say design,
Rendering.
rendering, you've approved what,
There, so there is an approved parking lot, it's just not funded and it's just not prioritized. So I'm asking that we prioritize it and fund it.
that makes sense.
Along with that, though, also is a proposed fire hydrant. I mean, I didn't want us to try to do a parking lot and then put in. Right,
Well, I
so I
think-
mean,
So,
but
there
we
was
need
a-
to coordinate those things.
There was a
because-
cost share, I'm looking at, well, I'm looking at you, but you weren't even here, I don't think. Wasn't there this cost share discussion and agreed upon from half?
The Water Commission said they would pay half
Okay.
of the fire hydrant.
So when it's across the street, correct?
No, it's gonna be on
Well,
this
a new one,
side.
so there is not one there now.
But I mean, there was one
There
across
was,
the street.
well, there was one on that side of the street.
Right.
Years, and for some reason, not me, but we, the city, removed it for whatever reason, and didn't replace it, which is key.
So
It goes on a 2-inch water line, it couldn't be replaced.
Okay, well, there you go.
So we used to have a policy before the commission that we put in 2 fire hydrants a year.
Yeah.
That was a Lance Terry deal. They threw a fit on. So AC, you sit there. What happened to that policy? Is it not a policy anymore?
I think it's still a policy, you know, and they said that they were gonna put 2 hydrants, you know, and I think that's kind of their choosing where they wanna put these hydrants and stuff. But it was my understanding though that this particular hydrant here was gonna be a separate thing, you know, and we were saying that was because, but they were going to, the water department was gonna do half, and I thought I can remember the other half, if it was it the city or was it,
Well,
the lodge?
The Water Wastewater Commission said that they would pay half, and then the other half was gonna be on the lodge. Because originally, the requirement is you have to have a hydrant, and the closest one, you had one at the end of the edge here on the corner, and then the other one, I think the other closest one was at the very end of what used to be, I've got a fire call. But anyway, we required them to put one in, and they're
So,
gonna go halfies.
A fire hydrant nowadays is $10,000? 10? So say 10 gets everything. So we're talking about $5,000, $4,000 or $5,000 that needs to come up with to put this hydrant in. I mean, if we have to, we can work it into the parking lot.
And for some reason, I don't know, 15,000 came to mind when they were talking about it to me. It's about 15.
Oh, a fire hydrant is more than what I thought.
Because I was thinking that, like Hunter said, it's like a 2-inch right there right now. They were gonna have to kind of either beef up the line, you know, it's gonna be more expensive.
So the historical building over there too. Being in there for them too.
I'm not gonna talk about this like I
Yeah,
said.
remember?
just from, in passing conversation with, Tim Posey, the hydrant is gonna have to go on the west side of the road. That is where they have an adequate line size, and the line is on the edge of the street, so they're gonna have to do a street cut. It's a little bit more complicated, process compared to one that's supposed to be in the right of way. And that was the increased cost for that hydrant.
And that side of the road was gonna be, I know they can stretch a hose 80 feet or whatever, but with this, whatever the fine art deal that was proposed across the street, it would help them too down the line. So that's why I was hoping this could be one of those two donated ones that I thought was still policy, but it might have got repealed in the Newcomb Act that she's talking about. Because it was policy for sure for a number of years.
Yeah.
So-
And I
It's
think
been
that was a
discussed.
good policy, because we, slowly over time, you start catching up.
Right.
It improves our ISO.
Well, how about this? I think we're willing to put the parking lot in. We've said that before. So could, Jeff, can you bring us that design that we haven't seen? Get figures on that design, specifications on that design, and bring it back to the council next meeting, and let's get, and cost, and let's get going. Now, it'd be preliminary cost, because you'll put it out for bid, so it'll get done.
I'll get that done right.
And then figure out this fire hydrant deal.
You'll add it into our cost?
Well, I think you could separate it for this,
Come with one request though for funds.
right. But figure out if this is a $25,000 fire hydrant because of the street god or what it is. Figure all that out and bring it back to us, and let's get going. And I agree with AC, you know, it doesn't have to be start, but lights. I don't want to go back and start cutting the street, put lights in. We need lights everywhere, and they need to reflect what's been done in the square. We need to keep things the same. There is some dark corners in there. That's gonna be our complaints immediately, is lights. So let's just put it in from the beginning. At the worst, as long as we sleeve things, because that's the cost, is getting the wire, getting things underground, not tearing stuff back up. So if you could bring that back to us the next meeting. Does that sound fine with everybody?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Hey, buddy, I was just wondering, as far as construction goes, they were talking earlier, it was mentioned about not wanting to start the parking lot because construction vehicles, cement mixtures and stuff might affect if we'd already built the parking lot. Where are we at on that? Will there be much traffic?
No, once the brick is delivered, everything will be mainly around the building. And again, I want to thank y'all for at least considering this. You know, we appreciate what y'all did for us. You didn't have to, and we thank y'all for doing that. And the only thing I would request is, if y'all would call the state representative, because he sat in the room at the table with us that day when we were told what they would do.
And that's
Which
kind of one of
one?
those things where, when you sit down in a meeting like that, follow up in an email and document what was said so that you have the trail.
Who was the state representative that sat in there?
I don't remember, did we have a state rep in there? I know Lori, Director Tudor,
Doctor
Lee Johnson?
was Lee in there?
Lee Johnson was there.
Oh, okay, that's right, because he was over there and we all left there and came over here. That's correct, yeah,
We can do that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a guy that's gonna be doing a little bit of cutting around our building and moving the field down, where we can get our sidewalk in down the building and in front of the building. But again, thank y'all for at least considering us.
And Buddy and I have been talked about this for a long time, and I've tried to reach out a couple of times to state to find out who, I don't think we just got bending the right ears just yet. I'm not saying it's gonna be fixed, but, I was in the meeting with you, of course, and there were some things said that, yeah, so we'll get there.
Thank y'all.
Last thing we want to do is slow you down on
Jeff?
us to be the
We're
cause.
kind of gaining some steam
Yeah.
now. We're actually considering a capital campaign to raise the money that we're short,
Yeah.
and going to the bank and getting a construction loan.
I got a question for you. You're all masons, right? Y'all are gonna lay the brick yourself?
Beg your pardon? No, no, we're Freemasons.
Oh, you're Freemason. So you do it for free. That's even better.
That's a fact.
So question, you know, you pointed to where we've got the potential for the hydrant, but what about the cost of the parking lot? Where are we looking at funding that from?
That's where Jeff comes in.
That's where
We
he's
don't
gonna
know how
bring
much
his,
it costs.
it's gonna be coming from us, this general fund, our street department, general fund, whatever.
Once Jeff brings back and gives us a preliminary cost, then we visit with the guru over here,
And-
figure out if we can figure it out.
And we, when I say we, the council did agree, I don't think I'm out of turn here, that we, the city, would build that parking lot, because it wasn't just for the, no offense, it's not just for the lodge, although it
Right.
is for the lodge, but it's for everybody downtown
Absolutely.
to share.
Right.
So it,
And
that-
in the original conversation, we were talking about tying those two parking lots together. That way, during parades and stuff, people can get to another exit, that people aren't trapped with a single exit.
Yeah.
So all that, Jeff,
and we've made an attempt, I have, for sure, on acquiring that property that you mentioned, that where the city hall used to sit, and,
I'm gonna try again.
are you? Okay. We've been turned down nicely, but
Nicely.
it'd be nice if that was all parking
If
lot.
we had the whole thing
Right.
again,
that Susie Butler?
Yes.
We could still gravel that portion.
Yeah.
It would not have to be hard surface, so that it could still serve that same purpose.
there's a little asphalt there left from the fire station for the apron, but
That's a really good idea that Hunter had, that could be just gravelled at Susie's, and it could be used as long as they're amenable to it, because they're actually gonna let me gravel across the street in Old Owens and Oliver, so we can use it.
okay,
The troop can use it.
okay.
The water department's capable of installing a hydrant, I believe, as well. They're very capable staff, they could offset costs by doing the work themselves as well.
If they're willing.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, Jeff, maybe you could explore that. She's behind you.
No,
Well,
she's wastewater.
Didn't the commission talk about that? The hydrant part?
Look into it anyway, just to see, but
Seemed like they had that on
I know
there.
they were kind of, covered up, in just the relocation of with the bypass and stuff, and I think that's kind of come to got caught up there in that.
bypass bid, a fire hydrant was $9,800, but the street being cut is what's added.
Well, that's all I had. Y'all seem willing, so.
No, we just took money out of the fire department to pay for the parking lot.
Thank you, Stu.
We appreciate,
You remember the
Fire,
lodge.
And they agreed, at the commission meeting to pay for half of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know
The
if they're
hydrant.
gonna do the install or what, didn't really talk about that, they
well,
said they'd take care of
that's what we
it.
were, I think they were a little reluctant due to was going on with bypass relocate, or all that utility relocation, but that may be a different story now.
Well, it's gonna be across the street from the lodge hall, it's
Right.
right there on that line,
Right.
and it meets code if it's over there.
Would you, so sounds like you're saying that the one across the street, which would be in front of the new academy.
Kinda there on
Yeah.
that corner,
You're good with that
yes,
for firefighting purposes on the center, on the lodge?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're not requiring them to go under the street or anything,
So
do
they're-
any boring or
So the
anything.
cut or anything's not
No.
important, or you don't need one on both
No,
sides?
it'll meet their needs. no.
Okay. Did you just get,
The water line is in the road on
Right,
that side.
Yeah, it's
right.
in the road.
They gotta cut, but that hydrant can go on either property boundary, the north or south.
Yeah.
And whichever serves the, proposed structure better.
yeah, okay.
Would I prefer to have one right in front of Lodge
Yeah,
Hall?
no,
Absolutely.
you've already given in.
Absolutely.
No, you may sit in. No. I know. Thank you, chief. Thanks, Hunter.
So how did it come about that, I'm just trying to figure out, what can we do in situations like this to ensure what is discussed gets in a budget?
What if what?
What is discussed or committed to carries through to a budget?
Well, I think we're there now. I think the reason for leaving it out of the budget was, again, not knowing where the lodge would be and why have it in there if they're not ready. But, so, you can add to a budget anytime you want.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, when you've got a budget using up the majority of your funds, it's just one of those things, and we went through a tight year last year, and now we're looking at one little surprise,
that's-
and another little surprise, and another little
I
surprise.
hear you, that's
just-
why,
It has to be put in a budget as, this may be done this year, but it needs to be carried forward so that we have a record of those things. It can't surprise.
I don't disagree with you, Mr. Tedford, but life is about surprises sometimes and not knowing what you can do
But
at the
this is
moment.
avoidable. This is an avoidable
Well,
you're-
surprise.
I don't think at the time that the Masons were fully closed, that it wasn't fully bought. It was, we were offering it and saying we would do this. And then we went on with life in an unsure year. And it just, when Jeff prioritized stuff with his, it just didn't get pulled on there. But
And as you mentioned, it was a time, sorry, it was a time to cut. It was a time to whittle. And so that's what happened. And if it's not doable, this council absolutely has the right, and I would hope to say, we hate it for the lodge, but, and I'm not saying you will, but you have the right to say, we can't do it until December or whatever. You know what I mean? I see where you're coming from. If in a perfect world, if everything got in the budget and everything went just like it's supposed to, then, but sometimes.
I mean, for instance, we've got projects that have been in the street department pushed forward to another year, but they're still in the budget.
Right.
And they don't have a dollar figure next to them. But this is not in the budget at all. And so at the time we make those agreements, those have to be a line item in the budget. If it's not gonna be funded this year, at least you need to be aware of something so that when the time comes, and that's all that I'm frustrated, because it's just frustrating to not have something considered, but we'll move on.
Well,
Okay.
that's mostly our fault because we didn't put it in the budget. We knew that the agreement was made with the Masonic Lodge to swap the property and what have you.
And if you will, from my perspective, today's the day this has been assigned to me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been battered around, but my direct to go.
yeah, you know, all these discussions I have are really our willingness to do something. So these next two are the same thing. Because we didn't want Jeff wasting his time. We didn't want anybody wasting his time if we just said, no, we're not gonna do it, so.
I think clerk has something.
Well, it's just the hydrant issue.
Oh.
They voted back in August of last year to pay 50% of the hydrant, the placement thereof, not to exceed $10,000.
They the commission.
Yes,
Not to exceed 10.
yes.
Buddy, what's the completion date for the lodge? You have any idea when it might be completed? No way to get in by the 4th?
Pancakes?
No, we've already made arrangements with, farmers.
Right, yeah, I knew that. In case we needed it, I was hoping we could.
We're gonna be close, but no, we're not gonna make it.
What if we got the parking lot ready?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if we thought we'd be in by the 4th, I'm all for a special call meeting to get the parking lot. It wouldn't take long to make a parking lot.
I would think.
I think it's, at this point in time, we're gonna be laying floor, we're gonna be doing a lot more stuff ourselves.
Checkered pavement?
Do what?
I said checkered pavement?
Check it.
Checkered pavement? That's an inside joke.
All right, any more discussion or thoughts on this?
Sounds good.
Next, number 2, Rod Powell, resolution authorizing safer grant application for the fire department.
This is, again, it's just our willingness before Stuart spends a lot of time going after a grant if we're not willing to accept it. And he has requested, he may want to move this to a special called meeting, so he wants to spend more time discussing it. Is that,
Chief, would you mind? Thank you.
And I spoke with Councilman Powell about this after this came onto the agenda, I went to Tom, and we've had some discussions. He's done a lot of hard work. He's got a lot of stuff. And after we talked today for about an hour, we've come to at least our conclusion. We would like to ask you guys to have a